Hey guys, Manny back here with another fragrance review, and this one's on Creed's Millésime Impérial. A unique take on a fresh citrus type scent, Millésime Impérial is an androgynous eau de parfum that was released by the House of Creed in 1995. Characterized as a woody floral musk by Fragrantica, the nose behind the fragrance is Olivier Creed's 6th generation, and its notes include what the house calls fruit notes and sea salt in the top, Sicilian lemon, bergamot, mandarin, and Florentine iris in the heart, and musk, woody notes, and marine notes in the base. Now, as far as how Creed actually describes MI, their website reads that it evokes the citrus groves and lush landscape of a Sicilian seaside palace. That being said, it was initially commissioned for the King of Saudi Arabia. With those two very different factoids in mind as I initially sprayed MI, I ended up feeling like there aren't that many fragrances out there that can be as accurately blatant at what they're described or commissioned to be. So 1, you really do feel like you smell like Sicilian citruses by the sea, and 2, you also feel equal parts Middle Eastern dictator as well. Into specifics, fresh onto my skin, my nose really picked up the fruity notes and the sea salt at the top. Makes me feel like I'd rather just be on vacation in a Tyrrhenian coastal villa when wearing something like MI. It's truly an opening that I was really moved by. If anything, I just wish that these top notes lasted longer. The heart is pretty pleasant, however, with iris and various Italian citruses that really provide MI with some sweetness into the dry down. From here, I get the full-blown muskiness and a touch of the standard Creed ambergris, but not a whole lot of woods. Onto the presentation side of things, not a whole lot going on with the box here. You have your standard Creed labeling with some lore up at the top and on the back. And on the front you have some branding with the Creed seal and this part that states Millésime Impérial. And at the bottom you have some details such as a lot number and a list of ingredients. Inside the box, besides the bottle, you have the standard Creed story slip and location card. Either is pretty standard, but they're always a nice touch. I do love how Creed isn't afraid to let you know about their history every time you buy their products. It makes you feel like you're buying into something special. That being said, the box still for me is relatively unimpressive when compared to other niche brands like by Kilian and Amouage. Houses like that will sell their products at a similar premium, but with an altogether better aesthetic packaging wise. Despite the box's unimpressiveness, the company definitely makes up for it in their design of the flacon. Upon first glance, you see the Creed font, the Millésime Impérial label, and the cap up at the top, all of which is gorgeous in gold. Opening it up, you have the legendary Creed sprayer. Like you'll cover a good circumference with whatever you're generally targeting without spraying a very concentrated pool of liquid. And yes, they keep changing the designs of these. If you aren't familiar with previous Creed flacons, they used to come with thinner necks at the top. But these new sprayers are just as good as any of the previous ones, and I think they look nicer too with a thicker neck. All in all, I have zero qualms with the flacon. Creed always kills it in this department of the presentation. But if I would have to give the presentation a rating, for me, it gets a 4 out of 5. Mostly for that flacon, of course. The gold really pops on this clear bottle with the translucent liquid inside, it just looks marvelous. But also again, the paper boxes are just too meh, like it's pretty much disposable. For that, Creed MI only gets a 4 out of 5 for presentation altogether. Next category to rate is scent, and MI gets a 5 out of 5 rather easily. The opening is so full of something that it's a combination of citrus and watermelon despite not actually being watermelon. And then you add a hint of sea salt to the combination, it just rocks. Like I've literally dreamt about how good this smells. Also, watermelon is one of my favorite fruits, so I guess that makes sense of that. That being said, the melon vibe isn't overbearing because the sea salt really does its job for balancing out the plethora of fruity notes from opening to mid. The heart, of course, has more citruses and iris and then transitions into a musk and ambergris-ish base, which is not as excellent, but it's still very pleasant and standard of Creed. Now, there are other fragrances out there like Sean John Unforgivable and Ed Hardy Love and Luck that try to channel the citrus style effect of MI, but they definitely lack the sea salt for contrast in the opening and the muskiness in the base, which I think is equally centrifugal to MI. So since MI has that kind of depth, and for being the originator of the citrus and melon sweetness, it gets a 5 out of 5 for scent. Moving on to performance, this is where MI truly suffers. It gets a 3 out of 5 in this category. For a fresh citrus scent, I'm not asking for a lot. If I can get 6 to 7 hours consistently by only spraying each of my wrists once, as well as my neck and maybe my hair, then great. But I don't, sometimes. If anything, the performance for MI is spotty by simply spraying on my skin alone. We're talking no more than 6 hours, and that's if I'm lucky. More often than not, I get 5 hours of longevity, which is disappointing because there are eau de toilettes in the same genre from designer houses that offer more in this department. And this is an eau de parfum from a niche house, which you'd figure with a higher oily concentration, you'd get more longevity, but no, not at all. So in order to maximize longevity of MI, I started spraying my clothes. We're talking a couple sprays on my shirt, and now I'm looking at 6 to 8 hours. As far as sillage, we're talking a pretty lackluster scent trail. If you're into a bold or summer fragrance that offers decent sillage, this isn't it. Again, MI can get it done in other areas that aren't sillage, but I'm just not a big believer in having to spray clothes in order to maintain any adequate level of performance in general, and that's why I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. Next category is versatility, and this is where MI really shines. It gets a 5 out of 5. Whether you're a female or male of any age, you can dress MI up or down, use it as a work scent, or even spray it on after the gym. Sure, it was commissioned for a king, and yes, it definitely does exude royalty, but somehow MI has versatility in mind over everything. Now, besides colder temperatures, I am really struggling to find occasions to when wearing MI is a misplay. To me, it's the perfect signature scent for someone who has an upbeat exuberance about her or himself, along with some class. All in all, as a result, Millésime Impérial gets a 5 out of 5 for versatility. There's just a lot of signature scent potential going on here. That being said, it's way more suitable for daytime and not so cold temperatures. Last rating is for compliments, and it's getting a 4 out of 5. It's not panty dropper seductive type like YSL La Nuit de l'Homme or Creed Aventus, but if you have an upbeat personality that would suit this seaside citrus melon scent, then people in range of you will be sure to give you a very nice compliment. Adding the stars up, Millésime Impérial by Creed has scored a more than respectable 21 out of 25. If I could describe this fragrance in a few words for someone, it's fun luxury for everyone. Everyone that could afford it, that is. It's a 4-ounce flacon that I have here that retails for $370 US off of the Creed website, and just over $200 US on fragrancenet.com. On paper, it's really hard to justify spending that kind of money on a fairly fresh citrus fragrance, a genre that is really easy to find amongst cheaper designer houses. You have to really love this scent's take on the genre and be okay with its performance in order to purchase it. But when I say that, think about its usage. It's a spring to mid-autumn scent that you'd use more often for work or daytime scenarios in general. So if you're a fragrance head like myself, you'd probably switch to something after work that's more appropriate for the nighttime anyway. If you're okay with this, or live in a sunnier, more temperate area of the world and don't want to wear something full-blown tropical, but still want something nautical, and you do like this scent, then Creed Millésime Impérial is the fragrance for you. And that about does it for my review of Creed's Millésime Impérial. If you guys liked the video, please give me a like then, and subscribe if you want to see more content on fragrances in the future, and I'll be sure to pump some of that out. Also, let me know if there's a fragrance that you specifically want to see reviewed in the future, and maybe I can get to that too. So thanks again for watching, guys, and take care.